but they've been a huge support. I couldn't have gone through my son's death, without them. I keep reminding me to keep coming back to meetings. It was just like starting over in sobriety. I got a new sponsor. They kept telling me, keep coming back to meetings. Let's go have coffee. Let's go to dinner. It's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. What are you grateful for today, Joe? It's going to be okay. And even though I didn't know how, and they didn't know how either when they were saying that, we just had this unshakable truth that when we get through hard times, we know we get to the other side. And it's going to be different, but it's going to be okay. After my son passed, even staying sober, I knew I needed some outside help. I was going to need some extra help to get through it. And so I did. I got a psychiatrist and therapy, and I went to a grief and loss retreat and learned how to deal with the trauma and all the other trauma that had come up along my life that I had been drinking and reacting to that I didn't realize was all back there. And so getting that outside help was really necessary for me to not just survive my son's death, but to really be able to live again. And so I'm really thrilled that Lakeside is now offering the mental health services so that other alcoholics like myself can start to deal with the trauma. You know, we've all had tough stuff happen. None of us have gotten through life unscathed. And we need that outside help that's just talk about stuff that's not appropriate to talk about in meetings. We need somebody that knows how to deal with those problems and has some solutions. Sometimes our sponsors don't have all the answers, and I certainly don't. And so I really appreciate that we're taking that extra step to make sure people really have a good chance of staying sober for the rest of their lives and have a good quality of life. I'm really grateful for that. Waking up and hearing the birds. I hated that when I was drinking and coming down off of some whatever drugs. I hated morning because I was still trying to put one foot on the floor to stabilize everything. And I hated the birds because I hadn't had any sleep, and here it was daytime. Now, I love morning. I love waking up. I love going to sleep. I love freedom. I have so much freedom today because I'm not enslaved. I'm not in bondage to drugs and alcohol to make me feel different. I get to travel. I get to have fun. I'm doing things today that I would still be sitting on the bar stool talking about doing if I was still drinking. And so I just got back from a trip to Hawaii. I got to swim with manta rays. I went scuba diving. I just got to go on adventures and have fun and be free. I am so grateful I have been sober and stayed sober for a long time. I don't let people call me an old timer. I say long timer, not call me an old timer. So what I do, I pray and meditate every day. I go to at least 3 meetings a week. I have a regular schedule. I have a sponsor that I meet with and talk with regularly. I have sponsees. And they have this knack for repeating back to me what I've told them at very appropriate times. And I go, where did you hear that? And we say it in jest, but they help me as much as I help them, if not more. So it's staying plugged in to the community. It's been incredible. I honestly don't know where I'd be if I had not stayed plugged in from before my son passed away. Since my son's passing, I've run across other friends who've lost family members, who've lost children. Some have committed suicide. Some have relapsed and gone out drinking. and others are just suffering along. And so I am really grateful that I stayed plugged in and just kept doing the next indicated step. And just staying plugged in is just a huge part of my sobriety, and such a joy. I mean, we alcoholics laugh at the strangest stuff, but we get it. Not everybody gets it. It's just like alcohol, for most of the world, is a beverage option on the beverage menu. And for me, it's poison. It's not an option. When my son passed away, it made real clear, because he really wanted to be sober. And I know he was asking God for help, and he got little bits of sobriety. But you have to do the work too. And it comes down to those basics of surrender to God or higher power, clean house, and serve others. We can't just sit around and wait for God to get us sober. We may get sober, but to stay sober in the long run, we really have to be willing to do the work. Like the guy that I was so stunned about in treatment when he told his boss he stole knives because he wanted to stay sober and risk losing his job, which he did. I just want to thank you for asking me to share a bit of my story with you. As hard as it is to talk about my son and his death, and he was such a sweet boy with his great big blue eyes and the long eyelashes, and he always had super cute girlfriends and a sense of humor. He was just the most important person in the world to me, and losing him was the worst thing that could happen to me. And I've stayed sober through the worst thing possible. And I know he's not suffering now. I choose to believe that. And he comes to me in my dreams, and I know he's always with me. I feel his presence, and I get comfort from that. And so I'm just sharing this because if anyone else can hear and relate to some of these experiences and can gain from that, I hope that that's the case. Because the people all looked so different when I first walked into AA. They were old women and old men, and I didn't think I could relate to them. And there was a guy that served time at Alcatraz. It was beyond my understanding. And the women who were dressed up, there was Fancy Nancy. She'd wear her hats and her complete ensemble, and she's helped so many women get sober. And the other women were knitting, and everybody looked old to me. And I didn't. And Melvin P., he taught me about the obsession of the mind and how the craving of alcohol that works in our mind, that once we put any alcohol in our bodies whatsoever, that craving can kick in, and that we're once again powerless over this disease and what happens once we put alcohol in our bodies. So I put alcohol in my body. I learned so much from those people that looked so outwardly different from me, because I opened my ears and opened my mind and opened my heart to what they had to say, and found that they went through those same things of incomprehensible demoralization, loneliness, despair, thoughts that life would never change. And then it did, and life got really good. And I was so grateful for all of those people that helped me get sober. And so if I can help anyone, it would just be my greatest joy. Thank you.